right, it keeps your cash flow intact while still letting you move. Um, it's a financial bridge if you know where you're going. So what I tell people a lot of the times is if you know where the money is going to come from, then you're using the money for a good cause, then maybe credit is good for you. But if you don't know where the money is coming from, if you're going to borrow money and you don't know where the money is coming from, you don't know how you're going to repay it, then credit is probably not the right tool for you, and you have to be really careful about how you go about that. So there are two kinds of credit. There's revolving credit, and that's when and that's not very common. Sorry, I'm on the next page. So that's not very common um, in Nigeria. Revolving credit is when you're given a credit limit and you use what you need, you repay, and then you reuse. So it's a credit card, it's an overdraft. And that means it gives you day-to-day flexibility. So you don't have to keep on making an application. It's more common outside Nigeria, but in Nigeria, we have installment credit. So you borrow a fixed amount and you repay it in set installments over time. So that's, think of your big purchases, your planned projects, emergencies. Revolving credit is great for, you don't have to keep on going back to a bank or your financial provider and asking for money. They just give you one line. So there's certain players in the market, like we do some revolving credit. Kuda does some revolving credit overdrafts. And also some SMEs also have revolving credit line from some lenders. But again, the goal isn't just to get money, it's to get the right kind for the right reason at the right time for you. So that's really important. It's really about, use wisely. And I'm going to keep on saying this again and again. Use wisely. Credit is an enabling tool. So let's look at some common myths on the next slide. One, only broke people borrow money. But that's not true. Wealthy people borrow a lot of money too. If you think about businesses, Dangote's refinery, which is an amazing feat. Dangote couldn't build that with all his cash. He had to borrow from banks. But even closer to home, when you hear people say, oh, this artist like Beyonce has bought this house for 13 million or somebody's bought a house for 3 million. You'll find that a lot of times they haven't used cash. They borrowed the money. So they put very little down and all they're doing is paying interest payments. And then when they want to move on and sell the house, they just sell the house and they pocket the difference. So, not everyone is paying out in cash in total. So, in fact, lots of rich people don't use their own money. They all use credit. And that's how they get richer, by using other people's money, but they use it wisely. The other myth is debt is bad. Yeah, not all debt is equal. Some open doors, some close them. Some build assets, some build stress. If you're going to borrow money because you're very sure that that Division 4 team can beat Man City, so you're going to go to Sporty Bet or Bet Nigeria and bet your whole life on it, then that's a very, very risky bet. But if you're borrowing money to pay for a nursing certification where you know that if you pass the exam, it unlocks a new career growth, and that's good reason to borrow. Borrowing shows weakness, means that you haven't got any control. That's not true. When it's strategic, it shows planning. Before we started, you guys were all enjoying stock rain, getting GT Co stock, which I hope I get some for this speech. But a lot of people actually borrow money to buy stocks as well as part of their portfolio. So they borrow a little bit and they use their stocks to just as collateral to buy a bit more. So it's hedged. So even, what I'm trying to show you is that everyone's using credit. And also I'll lose control if I borrow. If you plan it properly, you won't lose control. Um, and I think one thing to think about is people use credit every day without thinking it's credit. So if you're a business owner and you are buying goods from your supplier, and if your supplier says, pay me in 30 days, your supplier is actually giving you credit, because they could actually take that money right now and use it for their business. But by extending you 30 days grace, they're actually giving you credit. And likewise, when you also give somebody 30 days to pay or 10 days, if you don't collect cash now for goods and services that you have given, you are giving somebody credit. So credit's actually infused in all our lives. Fear of credit can be one of the biggest blockers of financial growth, especially in your 20s and 30s. The goal isn't to avoid credit, it's to master it. Because hopefully, as all of you on this platform build wealth, you're going to need to encounter credit at some point in your life, whether it's getting a mortgage, whether it's making an investment or making an investment in yourself as well. You might need credit. So it's good to actually get a good handle on it. So how does credit build wealth if you use it right? It helps when timing matters. When you're restocking before demand peaks. I'll give you an example. In my other life, I used to run 20 Mr. Bigs in Lagos, all the Mr. Bigs on mobile petrol stations. And there'll be times when the generator packs up. So it's 9 a.m. in the morning, my generator's packed up, there's no light, there's no AC, there's nothing. And Mikano or the other JMG is telling us they're going to charge us 100,000 naira a day for an emergency generator. Every day that there's no light, I can't open that shop. So credit then, taking credit, borrowing money then just to buy a generator is really important for my business. Um, Likewise, we're entering the Ember month. A lot of investors, a lot of businesses are stocking up right now because they anticipate more business. So that's when credit helps. Credit helps when cash flow is tight. Your salary is due in a couple of weeks, and you think it's due. It's due, and you need to make a payment now. It's not a it's not a bad idea to actually borrow now, knowing that you can pay it off in 2 weeks when your salary is due. You're trading money for a momentum. For some of us who do gig work, freelancing, that laptop you need so that you can actually do more digital marketing or copywriting, etc., actually helps you your business. So that's also really really good. Also, even travel. So for some people who are lucky enough to, let's say, travel, sometimes buying your ticket 3 months in advance will allow you to actually pay a cheaper price than if you buy it closer to your travel. So if let's say your salary, so you get paid all the time and you can spread that payment, buying it now, getting a cheaper price is also a good financial decision as well. So what does smart credit use look like? So the next slide. Again, borrow for growth, not for lifestyle. If you at the end of the day, borrowing is a personal choice. Some people can afford to borrow for a TV because they have a high earning power and they have let's say they have a lot of room. So yes, it might be a different financial decision if I'm borrowing to buy the new smartphone or a TV because I have lots of room to service that loan. For some other people, it's not. It's not a good decision. Maybe they should actually save for it and get it. So it's a very personal thing. So, for some people, you will get online if you follow some wealth advisors. There's some advisors who say don't borrow to buy a car. at all. Buy secondhand. And some people say, lease it. Again, it all depends on your financial worth. If somebody's earning 5 million naira a month and someone's earning 1 million naira a month or 500,000 naira a month, it's completely different risk profile. Have a repayment plan before you take the loan. I think sometimes the best way to think about borrowing is if you know there's an 80-90% chance of where that money is coming from. So I'm borrowing on the third week of the month because I know that I need to buy something now, but I know I'm getting paid next week. It's a good decision. But if you're borrowing and you don't know when the money is coming, then that's a big problem. And I think that's why in Nigeria, people want to borrow money to start a business. And that is risky because you start a new business. Let's say you start a shop selling, I don't know, meat pie. And as good as a cook you think you are, you don't know whether people are actually going to eat your meat pie at all. So it's risky. So you borrow money, rent, get equipment, and then you make meat pies thinking I'm the best cook, I have the best recipe because your family and friends have told you. On day one, people come, they don't like it. And you've just borrowed money and you don't know what's happening. You don't know when you're going to get your money and you don't make money. That's a problem. But if you have a shop, you have a good reputation, people like your meat pies, and you're saying, okay, I need to borrow for a second shop, then that's not a bad idea because you already have a reputation, you have cash flow coming in from your other business. People like your meat pies, and you there's a good chance that the second location in another area will generate as much revenue. So that's not a bad idea. Don't borrow more than your cash flow can handle. So typically, good financial institutions will not lend you too much money. Now, and that's when you know a good financial institution. A bad financial institution will give you whatever you want, depending on whatever you want, regardless of how much you can handle, because they will use tactics to like shame tactics to get to actually get you to pay back. At Carbon, we have a rule where we will not lend you an amount of money if it requires more than 30% of your cash flow to pay us back. Because we believe that you need a lot of room, you need to live, right? So if I'm lending you 100,000 naira, but you only earn 100 and lend you 100,000 naira, and let's say you have to pay back 30,000 naira a month for 3 months. Now, if you earn 50,000 naira, you're going to default. Even if you wanted to pay us back, you're going to default because 30,000 naira out of, from 50,000, you only have 20K left. It's really hard. So you need to make sure that you have enough room to handle any surprises, because life also happens. So even if you have enough room, you might fall ill. A family member might need your help, and you want to be in a position to help them as well while meeting your obligations. So use credit to unlock value as well. That could be, using credit to buy more stock if you have a reasonable if there's a reasonable expectation that the stock is going to might appreciate in value. So you should do that. Paying on time, it matters down the line. When lenders trust you, you get more access. One other thing I think I'd mentioned in publicly before is that people don't realize that just your credit behavior can also affect what opportunities are available to you. Even when you get foreign scholarships, for instance, they require a credit report. So if you haven't taken any credit, that's great. So you don't really have any financial history. But if you've taken, and it can be as little as 10,000 naira. If you've taken 10,000 naira and you haven't paid it back after 2 years, or you were really late paying, that actually could have some serious repercussions. So you really have to be mindful about how we borrow money. So what are some real life credit moves that make sense? On the next slide. So again, I just put up some examples here. A caterer takes a loan to bulk buy before prices goes up. She's buying now because they're cheaper to protect her profit margin. This is a good example of using credit to make sense. A parent takes a loan to pay for school fees. Kids stay in school. There's still cash to take care of everyday need. A content creator buys a phone on Carbon Zero. Carbon Zero is our interest free loan product. Or a delivery rider uses early pay to buy fuel. Early pay is also a product we have where we give you your salary, a portion of your salary earlier than when your salary is due, so that you can actually buy the things you need. So a delivery rider uses early pay to buy fuel so that she's able to make more delivery and earn more money. So these are some examples of taking loans to actually create wealth. Some advertising for carbon. So again, at Carbon, we have three products that are credit related. Actually, four if you add SME. But for individuals, um, instant personal loans. Carbon Zero is our interest free um, product where you can basically get access to this credit line that you can use anytime, anywhere for anything. And it's up to 1 million naira. And an early pay is when we give you a portion of your salary upfront. So it's not even a loan. It's we know you're getting, let's say, 100,000 naira in salary, and we give you 75,000 or 50,000 for a fee, and it's not and it's 7 days. It's you pay back in 7 days, just when your salary is paid. So your next move is know your credit profile. If you borrowed before, check your credit history. It's not, I borrowed before and my credit history is great. Once in a while, some financial institutions might make a mistake on your credit history. So it's good to check it because you can then write back to the credit bureaus. There are three credit bureaus in Nigeria: Credit Registry, First Central, and CRC. And everyone is entitled, I think, to one free credit report from each bureau. And then after that, you have to pay for your reports. At Carbon, we also offer, you can also download your credit history as well if you have one. If you don't have a credit history, that's also fine as well. It just means that you haven't borrowed. Um, but one thing to watch out for is if you've actually taken loans before and you've paid them off and you paid them off well, and the financial institutions did not report your credit history, that's actually a problem because they're robbing you of the opportunity to potentially get cheaper financing from other institutions who look at that report and think and say, wow, she's taken all these loans, she's paid it back, she's really responsible. So she's not a risky customer. So let's give her, a lower interest rate and maybe more money. So it's really important that you choose the right financial partner. Sometimes in finance and when it comes to your credit, it's not the financial partner that says yes willingly that is the best financial partner, because it's easy to give money, it's hard to pay it back, and it's hard to collect. So you need to make sure that the financial institution that's working with you, whether it's in a personal capacity or a business capacity, is one that is giving it to you because they expect you to pay it back, and not one that expects you not to pay it back, but they will use all manner of embarrassing means to get you to pay a very, very high interest rate. Um, Again, so if you haven't got a credit history, you can start small. You can use something like Carbon Zero or get a short-term loan, but you don't have to take a loan just for taking a loan's sake so you can get a credit history. Again, if you haven't got a credit history, it just means that you haven't taken a loan. But I think as you get older, and your career develops, etc., not having a credit history will, could hurt you. So I'll give you an example. In the UK, there's a company that has realized, that has a product. They realize that for some people who don't really use credit, they still need a credit history. So what they've done is they've got this product where they look at things that you pay for. So let's say you subscribe to Netflix, or Prime Video or Spotify or anything. What they do is they will pay your Netflix for you, and then you pay them back immediately or 2 days later. So then they use that as you borrowed money to pay for your Netflix. What that means is that they're giving you a credit profile, a credit history, without actually you going to borrow real money. So imagine somebody paying for Netflix for 12 months of the year, and each time your each time someone is paying your Netflix for you, and then you're paying that company back. So you've actually created a credit profile. So they realize how important it is to actually have one in the future if you want to access bigger items like a loan, car loan, or a mortgage, or even an education loan. So it's really important to build trust, and trust opens doors. So the final takeaway from all of this is credit isn't the enemy. We use credit every day. Businesses give credit to each other. Individuals give credit to each other. I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest bank in Nigeria is a bank of friends and family. But even then, credit matters. If I'm known amongst my friends to always pay late, or then they're not going to give me credit anymore. They won't help me. So credit is really important to maintain a good reputation. Borrowing isn't failure. It's a financial decision like saving or investing. Always remember this. A lot of rich people are rich using credit. Either they're buying homes on credit, they're building their businesses using credit. So they know something that we now know, is that credit is actually a wealth builder when it's used properly. The difference between stress and success is strategy. And that means, yeah, credit is a great tool, but it can also destroy you if you use it badly. If I'm using credit as equity, where I don't know when I'm going to get the money from, but I'm borrowing money, but I don't know how I'll pay, that's a problem. If I am borrowing money to gamble, yeah, I might get lucky, once out of 100 times, but the 99 times, it's going to be a problem. And when it's done right, credit moves you forward faster. You don't need to be afraid of credit. You need to use it with sense. And the earlier you learn that, the better your future looks. So thank you very much. And I look forward to any questions you might have.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for such an enlightening session. Like, I feel like the questions I would have asked, you already answered a chunk of them. Thank you so much, Sam. So I'm going to leave this open to community for a bit. Thank you all so much. Please tell him a big thank you. He took out of his time to come and speak to us today about how we can actually use credit. And I see that I have also picked up a number of things, though we do have like a mini session where I was supposed to ask a few questions. To be honest, you've answered like almost everything. So I'm just going to ask maybe one or two other ones that people might want to have like other clarity on. But if you have questions, I'm going to leave it to you guys. If you have questions, please and please use the chat box, type in your questions so that I can come to them. But I literally just learned more about Myth. He literally just told us more about how these rich people make money. They'll tell you that they bought a house of $10 million And you'll be like, I want to be like them, not knowing that they most likely are drawn in credit and their money there might not be up to 1%. You've talked about the myth, you've talked about like practical ways that people can literally use credit. One thing I'm going taking away from this is, and I always say this to everyone that asks me, credit, using credit, like borrowing money to go and start a business is risky. If you're not borrowing money to expand the business, please and please run away. If you don't have proof of concept, you do not have like cash flow, you have no you have no business. Somebody is asking here, can you borrow money to do wedding, especially if you're in love, but there is no money.
Money is one of the reasons why people fall out of love, especially in marriages. So, if you start borrowing money for your wedding, you don't know when, you don't know when the money is coming. You're already entering one chance because there's going to be some strain. People do it, but I think it's not the best use of money.
Thank you so much for that answer. Please don't borrow. She will leave you when the money has finished, though, just so you know. Do you know that financing is one of the highest causes of divorce? Just so you know. So in case you're there thinking, I really love her, so I'm going to borrow money, let us marry. When that money finishes, she's going to run away, just so you know. But thank you so much for that question. And thank you so much, Mr. Chijioke, for responding. So we have a few more questions that are coming in. Mary says that for someone who earns 80K per month, is it advisable to borrow up to 600K, wow, to buy a laptop
Wow.
because you need it for academic purposes?
Wow. So let's see, if I look at that mathematically, at 600K, even if you pay zero interest rate, you're going to pay 50,000 naira a month. If you pay zero interest rate, but you just have to pay that money over 12 months, that's 50,000 naira a month. So that's probably too much. We wouldn't give you that loan because it's too much. Now, if it's 2 years or 3 years, then yes, maybe then that is more manageable. So sometimes it's really not just, it's not an easy answer of saying yes or no. It's more, okay, what's the interest rate they're going to charge? They're going to charge you. How long do you have to pay it back? So if you have a really long time, then sometimes it could be good. And then of course, and then I think somebody needs to mute their mic. And then of course, if you get a laptop today, what can you do with it? Like, will that enable you to get money and move your earnings from 80 to 120,000, etc. So that's a consideration. But given, so you have to give me more detail to know whether that's a potentially good use or not. But at 12 months, a 12-month loan, 600,000 is probably not. If you're earning 80,000 and you're not going to increase your earning capacity.
So Mary, do you want to add more context? But if not, that is your response to your question. And then Mo says, in carbon, if someone wants to borrow money for their business, do you ask for their business account? That's question number one. The question number two goes, for personal loans, does the lender have to pay their salary into carbon, or would you accept back statements from other banks?
So one thing is people. So I want to answer this question, but with a longer answer. If you think about it, if I asked all of you right now, if I gave everyone 1 million naira and I said to everyone, go out and give this money to a complete stranger, but the winner will be one who actually gives out the loan and also gets it back. What are you going to ask for? You're going to ask for, can this person pay me back? You're going to ask for, where do they live in case I need to find them, etc. So to answer the question, we're going to need, if I'm giving somebody a loan for business, I want to know what that business is generating. So if they're asking for a 10 million naira loan, what income is that business generating on a monthly basis? And also, what are its expenses? What is the net cash flow, so that I can actually make a proper decision? So I'll need to see many all relevant business accounts in terms of wherever your cash from from your business goes into, we would need to see that. On the personal loan side, yeah, we will look at bank statements from other banks as well.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Oluwabukola says, thank you very much for sharing, Mr. Chidioke. I understand that building your credit history overseas, such as Canada or US, is quite encouraged, especially when getting a mortgage or financing in future. However, coming to a country like Nigeria, where most average people finance things from savings, how does credit history play a role in this case? And how is Carbon encouraging others to borrow money, especially when building a history and one has to pay back? Thank you.
So one thing that's not really common is that when people go, when we've gone through this whole Japa fever where people are going abroad to to study and then to get a job. What people don't realize is that the credit bureaus there also refer to credit bureaus in Nigeria as well. So and you haven't built any credit, so you're trying to rent someplace in Canada or the UK or America, and you haven't got credit in those countries, and those countries rely on credit history. So they actually refer back to Nigeria as well. So that's one. I think in Nigeria, it's still early stages. We don't really use credit scores like other countries. Even in Kenya and South Africa, they use credit scores in history well. But one thing I always say to people is this, is that if you picture a scenario where your company or you, if you're a business owner, has made you the hiring manager for one position. You see two candidates and they are identical in every single way. Then I give you the credit reports. Somebody owes money and hasn't paid back. I have a list of people. And the other person either has no credit history or has a good credit history where they've taken a couple of loans and they pay back well. Who will you hire? I bet you most people will hire the person with good credit history, even if the job doesn't require you handling money. There's just something about credit is about is about being trustworthy. It's about being reliable. It's about doing what you say you can do. Yeah, people will make mistakes or there'll be emergencies. But look, we have customers who during COVID couldn't pay us back because they lost their jobs. But they would write to us and say, look, we really want to pay back. And 6, 7 months, even 2 years back, they're writing to say, I'm in a position now to pay. Those kinds of customers, we might not give them exactly what we gave them a year ago, 2 years ago, because their profile has changed, but we will get them back again on the ladder. So it really is, credit is really about trust and reliability.
Thank you so much, sir, for that response. So I'm going to go ahead and read. We have a whole, I did not know that we had this much interest in credits, but we have a lot more questions that have come in from people asking about different things. So Bumi over here says, thank you so much for the enlightenment, sir. Does credit score really matter in Nigeria? And do financial institutions check your credit score online, or they require you to submit it? And then the second question is, this person has 4-in-1 question as well. So please guide us on how to get our credit score. And the next question says, can we borrow to invest? This one. Then the last question is, what's the interest rate at Carbon? For me, I
Okay.
hope you're able to listen. Okay, she's here.
So there's lots of questions there. So the credit score matters if your credit history matters if you're trying to get a loan. And all financial institutions, all regulated financial institutions in Nigeria have to check 2 credit bureaus every time they want to give a loan or even evaluate you for a loan. So at Carbon, we check at least 2 credit bureaus. That's what we're required to do. So if if the report, and we also look at your performance, within Carbon. So that actually affects whether people will get a loan or not. In fact, a lot of times that is the main reason why people get rejected is they've had a bad credit report. And I think it's really important, in Nigeria, there's this, on-time repayment is really important. So if somebody says you have to pay your loan on the 14th of the month, if you don't pay it on the 14th of the month or pay it on the 18th, you think, yes, I paid the money back, so I'm a good borrower. Actually, the financial institution might think, actually, you're not really a great borrower because you paid on the 14th, you paid on the 18th, we asked on the 14th. So these things actually matter, and they really add up in your credit report, because there are people who when the loan is due on the 14th, they pay on the 14th, some even pay on the 13th or 12th, right? So in the grand scheme of things, you're not as a good borrower. So just because you pay back, it's not about when it's convenient for you, it's when it was agreed. So it's really important to get that right. But the financial institution will get the report themselves, so you don't have to give it to them. To get your credit score, or your credit report, you can go online to either CRC Bureau, Credit Registry, or First Central. These are the three credit bureaus in Nigeria that have the reports. Or you could also go to the Carbon app, download the Carbon app, register, etc. You can also get your credit report. If you don't have a credit report or credit history, it's going to be blank. If you have taken loans before, hopefully you will see something there. Can you borrow to invest? Yeah, you can. So even I think the likes of the apps like Bamboo and RiseVest that allow you to borrow money, as long as you have stocks to invest. So I think the short answer is yes, you can borrow to invest, but the long answer, it depends on what you're trying to do. So are you investing in stocks? Because there are programs where you can actually invest, you can actually borrow to invest. But to do that, you need to also have collateral, stock collateral. So I want to buy 15 more or 20 more GT shares. So I think the price is going to go up. I think the price is cheap. So I can borrow, but the financial institution might say, okay, that 1,000 GT shares you have, just let me, you keep it, but if the share price drops, you might have to sell more of these shares to pay me back my loan. You can also invest in machinery. Again, it depends on what you're borrowing, what you're investing in. And the interest rate at Carbon varies depending on your risk profile, depending on whether you're a repeat borrower or new borrower. It ranges from anywhere as low as I said, Carbon Zero is 0%. It's a fee, to as high as 10%, but for 2 weeks. For businesses, it's as low as 3% a month, and it's as high as 5% a month.
So for me, I do hope that you were able to get all of that. But not to worry, if you missed anything, you can always listen to the recording when it's live. And the person who asked about the laptop, borrowing money to buy a laptop, comes back with a follow-up and says, yes, sure, it would increase my productivity and allow me to take more jobs to increase my income in the long run. So based on the follow-up questions that you had asked. So Comfort goes ahead to ask, what are the requirements for a business to borrow money, the interest, and also what is the maximum time to pay back? So a bit of this has been answered from the last question, but any other thing that has not been touched, Sir, would you like to go ahead?
I mean, look, as much as Carbon is not the only financial institution in Nigeria. So there's, you have many different financial institutions that have different profiles. Some will give you money only for 1 month or even 2 weeks. I mean, there's some SME lenders that will you pay them back week by week. And some banks can give you a 3-year loan. So it really depends. The rate will always depend on the risk profile of the business. If the business is very risky, they might not give them a loan at all, or they might give a higher interest rate, or they might even ask for collateral. If the business is not risky or is seen to be not risky, then you might get a lower interest rate. So it really depends.
Thank you so much. So it depends on where you're at, what you're looking to achieve, and that will depend on what the interest would be and how long it's going to be. So
Yeah.
Comfort, I do hope that when you're ready, you can just bring in more details, like for that business you want to run. Go to any of the financial institution, Carbon, or whichever you're interested in, and they'll give you like a more concrete answer for your unique situation. So Blessing says, thank you so much, sir. When getting a loan to start a business, what are the, I think this is literally the same thing.
Mm.
What are the requirements to assess the loan, sir? But Toby goes ahead to ask, what are the key factors you look at when determining someone's creditworthiness, especially in a country like Nigeria? Let's
So
see.
credit, giving a loan, credit is about two things. It's about the ability to pay back, and then the more important, and also as importantly, the willingness to pay back, right? So we look at, okay, does this person have income, or either it's a person or a business? Does it have, or do they have the income to support the loan that they're trying to get, right? That's actually fairly easy. We'll look at your bank statements, we'll look at, you know, everything about the business, or even about you, we'll look at your salary, etc. So that's the ability to pay back. Now, the willingness to pay back, because look, people have, you hear stories of people who just don't want to pay because they feel like I don't need to pay on time. I don't. That's a big question mark, especially in Nigeria. And that's where the credit report comes in, is I know this person can pay back. I know their salary. I know whatever. So yeah, I know that they can afford it, but will they pay back? And that's, I look at the best indication that somebody will probably pay me back my loan is if they paid the loan before, right? So if they paid the loan before, then the probability that they'll pay a loan again, repay the loan, is high. Um, so that's where history comes into play. And then the other is, as a lender, you have to just find out, right? And then you start looking at, okay, people that look like him or her, have they paid back? And if the answer is yes, then maybe, okay, maybe I'm more likely to give this loan because okay, maybe they haven't taken a loan before, but I lent money to so many people that look like this person, same age, same sort of job, same sort of region. And likewise, if people that look like you have not paid back, I might not want to give you this loan because I'm like, you look like so many people who haven't paid me back, at least a profile. So I'm not going to do it. So that's how it's we decide on whether to give loans or not.
And now the thing is, data doesn't lie. So
Hmm.
if you fall into a category of people who have defaulted, unfortunately, you will not be getting it. Thank you so much, sir, for that response. So I think the last one here, which is quite a unique question from every other one that has been asked. Faith asks is, does airtime borrowing on telecom networks count in credit score? So those people who borrow from MTN or Airtel, those tiny, oh, I need to make this quick call, does it count?
I think it should. It doesn't. I haven't seen it in the credit reports, but I think it should because they probably make more money. I think airtime credit is probably one of the most expensive loan products out in the market. I haven't used it, but I know in some markets it can be as high as 10%. And when you think about um, the fact that you use your number frequently, so you need to you need to repay this airtime credit. So you top up, then you find that loan, when you actually price it on an annualized basis, it's actually a very high interest rate. And it's borrowing, right? For me, it's borrowing and the customer is actually paying back. And I think it should be. And if it does, because it also shows that this individual borrowed airtime credit and is paying it back. So it's not, but I think it should be.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. So, to the second to the last, because I'm going to be asking one more question to wrap it up for the evening, but more goes ahead to ask, can people living abroad borrow from carbon if they can prove their income but want to invest in Nigeria?
To be a carbon customer, you need to have Nigerian credentials, your BPN, your NIN, etc. You need to be if you're and for a business to be a business have a business account, you need to have the Nigerian business or have Nigerian credentials. So we have customers who are Nigerian, were in Nigeria, have a profile with us, work, borrowed money, and sometimes and even while abroad, they have borrowed they've actually made a loan application and they've been successful. But they've been successful because they still have money flowing into the account on a regular basis. They still have some income. We only assess Nigerian income though. We don't assess foreign income. So if you have so the loan you might get will only be based on your Nigerian revenue sources and not your foreign sources at all. But
Thank you
you
so
can,
much.
yeah, but you can initiate a loan application abroad, your app, etc., and do. But yeah,
Okay, thank you. I was expecting this question from someone else who is currently abroad, but thank you so much, Mo, for asking. Okay, so I'm the one asking the last question because you've taught us about me, you taught about things that we should take note of. If I'm someone or if there are people here in the community that found themselves in the institution whereby they've defaulted and defaulted, what are action steps that people can take right now to build their credit score back again and just be more compliant when it comes to credit?
so I think okay, if you're stuck, write to the financial institution and actually say, look, um, I owe this money, and work out a plan to pay back. So what people think is we want all the money as soon as possible, as soon as you owe us, we want it. But if you can't pay back, so let's say you owe, let me give an example. You owe a financial institution 120,000 or and you can't pay it back. You can't pay back at once or even in so but if you write and say, look, I can only pay back 10,000 naira a month for the next year. There might be some back and forth. They might push. They might negotiate. But really, but once you agree and you start paying on a monthly basis, that's actually a very good signal to a borrow to a lender, to a financial institution. Because again, credit's about trust. You said you can't pay, but this is what you can do, and you're doing it reliably. So that doesn't mean that you're going to automatically um, get another loan from that institution. But they might give you, okay, we gave you 400,000 naira before, we're going to have to work, start again. So start on 50K. But we'll work with you to get back to where you go. I think in general, if you're stuck financially, seek help. Again, and this is why the financial institution is really, really important. Because if you're stuck and it was from a genuine institution, they will work with you to get you back to help you pay back in a way that you can afford. If it's not a genuine institution, they don't care. It's I'm going to send all your contacts a very rude message saying that you're a thief, saying that you murdered someone, and you don't want to be in that position. But I think if you're stuck, always seek help from the financial institution and tell people about it because it's better to share that information than to get stressed, keeping it to yourself and trying to figure out yourself. And then and if you can, don't borrow from someone else don't borrow from another financial institution to pay back. Because typically, if you're in debt, a good financial institution will probably not give you any more money. So that means you're left with some of these digital lenders that are really, loan sharks who don't care, and they'll give you a loan. And they'll give you a really high loan, and that's how you get into a debt trap, right? So especially if you go into a regulated institution and you borrowed money and you're in trouble, go back to them and try and work it out. Don't borrow from a really unscrupulous digital lender that will put you in a bigger debt trap. Because what's going to happen is you're going to borrow money from them to pay back this other company, and then you're now stuck with these guys, and then you're going to go into deeper debt with worse, really, really bad players. So seek help.
Wow, we have a review here, sir. They said this person, that is Anne, goes ahead to say the learning experience in carbon is outstanding and safe. Woo! That's really good. That's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so at this point, I'd really love to say thank you so much, Mr. Chidoke, for giving us your time, your knowledge, answering the numerous questions that we've brought to you today. I personally learned a lot. We're definitely going to be having a lot of quotes to hold on to from today to guide us when it comes to credit and building our finances going forward. Everyone, if you're still here, please use the chat and do tell Mr. Chijoke a very big thank you. Thank you for coming to impact and educate the YPFG community on our 3rd year anniversary. We're super grateful and we do not take this for granted. At this point, I could let you go. Thank you so much. I really do
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
for
sir.
having me.
Yeah. William is already saying bye, but yeah, thank you so much, sir. So to everyone that is still here, I'm going to be having, or rather, we still have a few things to cover in another 5 minutes, which is number one, did you invite somebody to come for this particular session? Please do a screenshot, put on your IG, tag Personal Finance Girl, and talk about what you've learned from today's session. Number two, next week, we're going to be talking about personal branding. And I'm going to do a bit of explanation about why we were going to be talking about personal branding. So one thing that you want to do for yourself as someone who is going to be earning money, someone who has a 9 to 5, someone who is a student, that's an undergrad, you're living life, you're okay. You want to have a personal brand because at the end of the day, you want to position yourself in a way that when people see Blessing, when people see Toby, when people see Gabriel, they understand what you do and they're able to relate and they're able to recommend you to jobs. They're able to give you that your next gig, your next offer. So we're going to be bringing on a personal brand strategist for next week, Saturday. She is also a book author. So if you come early, you might actually get yourself that book for free. And we're also going to be having a bit of stock giveaway again. Throughout this month, we're going to be sharing stock. So if you come here, you invite a friend. I think before by next week, maybe our community manager will bring up something again and she will just say everybody in the community take shares. Everybody will be happy. I will be happy. You will be happy. But really, you want to come prepared for next week. You also want to talk about today's session, what you're taking away, how it is going to be impacting you. You want to also make sure that every other person in the community that missed today's section, you please personally pepper them that why exactly did they not come for today's session. And most importantly, our mission at Your Personal Finance Girl remains the same. We want to ensure that personal financial literacy is accessible. Financial literacy is as simple as possible. You're building the wealth that you deserve for yourself. Even if you don't even have a lot of money right now, you're equipping yourself with the right knowledge. So as time goes on, as your income increases, you're able to make the right choices for yourself. And then when life happens, you're not stuck. So if you want to learn more about how to invest, there is the what stock should I invest in? Any person who has read that book understands that there are over 60 questions in that book. There are about 10 chapters in that book that takes you from point, I don't know what to do, to point, I'm going to go and carry my 5,000 naira to go and invest. If you want to get a more immersive experience, there's the School of Investing Bootcamp. If you want something just quick from A to Z for your personal finance, you can do the Financial Literacy Challenge. All I'm just trying to say is that you're at the right place, you're in the right community, and it's left for you to harness it. It's left for you to milk it, because this is the third year of the YPFG community, but the fourth year of your personal finance girl. And if we were not doing something right, if we were not on the right path, we will not have this amount of people that are here or that have joined the community at some point in time be around. So you don't want to wait to be spoon-fed. You want to be asking questions. You want to be active. You want to milk. I don't know why I'm using the word, but you really do want to milk the YPFG community for you and yourself alone. Just last week here, we had a post on about how you can become a billionaire with just 200,000 naira every single month for the next 35 years. So it means that if you're 28, or let's say if you're 30, by the time you're 65, you would have 1 million naira sitting pretty in an account waiting for you. If you go on the page as well, you're going to see a list of dividend stocks that includes ETFs, that includes singular stocks, that includes REITs as well, that you can actually purchase for yourself. There are educational videos on the YouTube page as well. You have resources at your beck and call. If you're not sure what to do, ask and you'll be pointed in the right direction. I'm here for you. Community manager is here for you. Every other cousin in the community is there for you. But are you making use of the opportunity that you have? If you came in late, don't worry. The recording is going to be available on YouTube for today's session. The recording for last week is also available on the YouTube page. So just in case you're wondering, we're talking about VAS, we're talking about excited energy, we're talking about rest, we're talking about you being able to have work-life integration, go and watch the replay and you are good to go. If you're also not on the YPFG WhatsApp community yet, please do well to ask, and the community manager is going to link you up to getting yourself on there. You don't want to miss any of the conversations. And at this junction, I want to ask one question. Did you get value from today's session? Did you get value from today's session? I want to know. I'm going to check the chat now. I personally did, because there's something new about credit that I have learned. And at least now I know that. And I shout at people that don't borrow money to start a business. At least now you've heard from someone who literally has data of millions of Nigerians coming to tell you what you should do about borrowing or not borrowing. Please and please, if you missed anything from today's session, you have to just wait a few hours and rush off to YouTube and go and watch the replay. Just a few hours and you'll be sorted. So if they ask you now, what do you know about credit? Can you beat yourself and talk about credit like would I say an expert, not an expert, but do you now know, are you now better positioned to make decisions when it comes to credit? I'd like to know. Yomide says, if you are not on the YPFG community, you are missing a lot. Even me, I know, because I still enjoy the community more than you people, right? So, yes, so what are you taking away from today's session? I want to hear from at least one person. What exactly did you or will you be taking away from today's session, especially since we talked about credit, especially since we talked about finance? Not to worry. Mary says, not all credits are bad. Ayomide says, I'm in a better position when it comes to credit now. Okay. Okay, beautiful. That's all I have for now. But everyone uses credit. Yes, everybody uses credit. A lot of us don't even realize that we use credit, but everyone eventually uses credit. So I want to say a very big thank you. A very big thank you to everyone who has contributed to the success of today's event, to everyone who has showed up and continues to show up. See, if you attend all 4 sessions, I might have a gift for you. I might actually have a gift for you. But you want to also pray that I'll be able to decide on what you're going to get as a gift. And you are active. I should have mentioned from last week, but if you're active and you attend all sessions, I will definitely have a gift for you. I'm very sure that our community manager already knows people that are very serious. And then Blessing goes ahead to say, borrowing isn't failure, but a financial decision like saving or investing. Yes, especially when you know what to do. So when it comes to saving, when it comes to investing, when it comes to insurance, when it comes to borrowing, when it comes to planning for retirement, all of these things, once you have the right information, once you have the right knowledge, I promise you, you're going to be making the best decisions for yourself. And one of the reasons why I even really, really like this our community is because we have like a chunk of young people. So many of our parents did not get this information. Many of our pals currently do not have this information. And we're going to change that because you cannot be learning about money and your friend does not know about money. You would form your own circle of money with your friends and you have to direct them to where they're going to be finding this information so that everybody is going to be going together, because you don't want to be the only person that knows the light in your circle. You need to have at least 2, 3 of you that knows exactly what you are doing. You know the math. You know that your 20K, you know that your 5K every month is going to give you about 15 million in another 20 years. Yes, 5K, 15 million in the same sentence. Yes. So to be credit worthy, you must have the ability to pay and willingness to pay. So it's not even about just having the ability to pay, because we know some people, this is our Nigeria. We are ourselves. There's some of us that just have coconut head. We know what we're supposed to do, but we say no, we're not going to do it. So that is also very, very important to take note of as well. Thank you so much for thanking me, Toby. Know the right credit agent to borrow from. Yes, remember that Mr. Chijoke also made some example about some of them that will go and be sending all your WhatsApp contacts messages and threatening them. You don't want to fall for people like that as well. But guess what? Because you attended this session, you now know what to look out for. You now know some of the things that you should take note of and those things that you shouldn't. And at this junction, I want to say thank you to everyone who stayed to the end of today's session. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to everyone who contributed. And thank you all for attending. Can we move this our conversation to the WhatsApp community? And I'm going to see you next week for the personal branding session. And if you come early, you might win the speaker's book, because she's written a book on personal branding. If you're interested in moving your personal brand to point A, or interested in growing a personal brand, please and please do well to be available for next week's session. And I'm going to see you on the community and on Instagram as well. Bye for now. Bye. So for those of us that are asking how to join the community, please check the chat. The community manager has posted the link. We've come to the end of today's session, and I'm super, super happy that you were here. But have a wonderful evening and an even better week ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.